Hi everyone, so we're team 5 here. We're for our project we're going to be making an exterior wall light wood frame. Over here for our materials we're going to have our 2x8 studs. Here we have our pressure treated 2x6 wood. Moving on, over here we have our insulation, our Tyvek. We have our 5/8 gypsum board. Over here we have our OSB, our exterior wall, and our vapor retarder right here. And then we have our 2x4s here. And then these are our top plate and bottom plate. All right, so starting off, we have our pressure treated wood with our 2x4s over that. Here, he's just nailing them down in there. Usually we would have the pressure treated wood bolted to the foundation, but in this case we don't have the foundation, so we're just improvising here without it. All right, so now moving on, we're gonna be doing our studs. Right now, Nicholas is just measuring 16 inches on center so we are aware of where we're gonna place our studs. Here we're just nailing it in now. And our next stud's gonna be placed 16 inches on center as previously stated. So now after that's been completed, this is what our wall is looking like so far with the studs 16 inches apart on center. And then we're gonna move on to putting our top plate on. We're gonna have 2 studs on that top plate. Same thing will continue for the rest of these. So now this is the end product of our 2 top plates being installed on top. Next, we're going to be putting on the OSB. So now here we're going to be nailing in the OSB. So now after we have our OSB on, we're going to be using an air retarder, which in this case we're going to be using Tyvek. Usually we would staple this on here, but in our case we don't have staples, so we're just going to be putting very small nails in here. And this will continue all around. So here, after the Tyvek air retarder is put on, we left this part exposed for class purposes to be able to kind of see more in depth of what we have going on here. And now we're going to be putting our fiber cement siding after this. So now we're going to be putting on our fiber cement siding here. We'd usually use smaller nails, but in this case we're just going to be improvising with these larger type of nails. And same thing will continue with these, just overlapping the previous one. This was for water flow purposes. Just like that. So here we put the nails in on the bottom, but that's not how you're supposed to do it. This is just for class purposes and being able to really see what is being nailed in. But now this second one that's overlapping will be done correctly, and this one will go on the top. And this is just so you can't see the nails being nailed in there. So now this is how our exterior wall looks. This is our finished product. Here we just left it open for the class to be able to see the air retarder and then the OSB. This would typically be painted with waterproofing paint. And then, so as we can see here, this is where the nail is, but typically it would be nailed in up top as previously stated, and so you can't see the nails here. So now we're moving on to the interior part of our wall. Here we have our fiberglass. This is R19. Right now we're just going to be cutting it to fit the stud bay here. And then we're just going to be repeating this process for the other two stud bays as well. So now we're going to be nailing the insulation in. Typically this would be done with staples. You just go down and staple this down, but in our case we don't have staples, so we're going to be just using very small nails for this one. And then same thing's going to be applied for the other two. So now that our insulation has all been fastened in and nailed in, we're going to move on and put the vapor retarder on there. So now that our vapor retarder is going on, this would wrap around the stud. Usually we'd use staples for this too, but we're going to be using the same method and using the small nails to apply this one as well. So now this is how our end product looks with the vapor retarder. Obviously here we have staples, and then our next step is just going to be to apply the drywall on there. And this will be done with screws. Okay, so now we're going to be screwing in our drywall. Assuming that we have a slab on the floor, the drywall would be as is here. However, if we did not have the slab on the ground, the drywall would have to be moved up so that the joist would be in place there. Then after this, obviously, we would continue with taping and painting the interior of this wall.